Hello and welcome to On the Prowl. I'm your host, Katie Funk, and with me today is the coach of the Hahnville Tigers, Coach Nick Saltaformaggio. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thank you, Katie.
Coming up on today's show, Coach Salt will break down last week's game against the Central Lafourche Trojans, and we'll get Coach to look ahead at this Friday's game against the Bourgeois Braves. Congrats on your 49-24 win Friday night. Where are you showing improvements overall as a team?
Well, I think we're showing improvement offensively and defensively, Katie, but where I'm most happy is with our special teams. We had a great special teams night. We actually lost our kicker, Thomas Roscoe, in a crazy accident off campus. We lost him for the year. So Dalton Melanson, who had been our punter, had to step in and kind of do double duty for us. And he was 7 on 7 on his PATs. And then actually went back into school and recruited Matthew Boyer to come back out and kick off for us. And he's a member of our soccer program. So he came out and handled the kickoff duties for us. And our coverage units were very good. And whenever you can keep the field long and you're able to kick balls and score points through your kicking game, it's always a giant advantage for us. And then our return game, Michael Gray had 2 great punt returns in the game Friday night, and a kickoff return, a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So, when you got all aspects of the game working for you, you got to feel good about where the season's going.
With only 1 conference loss and 2 overall losses, in your current situation, how confident are you in getting a good seat? Do you feel like you're building a good team for the playoff?
I think we are. Last couple of years we've made nice runs at this point. We still have 2 very tough games left. HL Bourgeois is fighting for their playoff life, and Thibodeau, the last week of the season, is an extremely talented team who is undefeated in district right now, along with Destrehan. So we still have 2 tough games left to play, but currently we're sitting at number 10. I think if we're able to get these 2 wins, we could move up as high as 6. So we're just going to, take care of business this week. The only team we can really worry about is Hahnville. That's the only team we have any control over. So we'll try to continue to get ourselves better and see where we are at the end of the year.
With Central Lafourche in a lead 6-0 early in the game, what did you do to get your team to refocus?
To tell you the truth, we're pretty good at it. We haven't been a very good come-out-the-locker-room defense the entire year. I wish I could say otherwise, but it seems like every game we've played this year, we've been down early on where we've had the opportunity to play defense first. So it's something I wouldn't say we're concerned about it. It's something we keep working on. We're struggling. Defensively to get our motor going early. I think those early wake-up jolts that we get helps us throughout the course of the game. But, offensively, we've been very, very dynamic. So we're playing with a lot of confidence. And, I just think our kids, it's a focus issue. We really need to be a little bit more focused defensively coming out of the locker room early in the game.
Thanks, Coach. Let's take a look at the first half highlights.
Like I said, we're down 6-0 right here, and we come right back. This is actually the opening drive of the game. I'm sorry. Austin comes out. This is the very first play of the game, and we throw a little screen out to Anthony, and he makes a bunch of people miss, and we wound up not scoring on that drive. But Central gets the ball. They come down and score, and then we come out on a 3rd down here early in the first quarter, make a nice play, Austin to Anthony. And then we get Devontae Clark rolling inside with our inside run game. Devontae's just a powerful inside runner and picks up a nice long run. We get the ball to Anthony. He makes a couple of cuts, gets on the perimeter, and again just lets his speed take over from there. And Central has great backside pursuit, makes a play. And it's always good when you can run quarterback sneak for a touchdown. And it's a nice play for us to give us the 7-6 lead. We get a stop, and we go right back to work. Opened this 3rd drive up with a similar play, except Anthony just makes a terrific athletic play out of it. Central actually had it defended, and I think Anthony wound up running about 200 yards on that play when you're going back and forth across the field like that. It puts us down in that territory to start the second quarter, and then Devontae rips off a nice, again, inside run for us on inside zone, puts us in scoring position, and then we run a little counter, and then Anthony hits the crease and is able to get us up 14-6, and things just kind of got rolling for us there. Now this is one of the punt returns I talked about with Michael Gray. He feels the ball, he bobbles a little bit. It was a rubber ball, and you're not used to catching those rubber balls. They're almost like a basketball hitting your hands. They bounce a lot, And then Michael makes a great return, gets behind the wall. We get some excellent blocks downfield and wound up getting the ball on the 20-yard line. But we didn't score there either. So we kind of blew 2 opportunities early to get some points. Austin wiggles around in the pocket. He finds Cade Miguez for a nice 25-yard gain. And then we come right back on counter to Anthony and get the touchdown to put us up 21-6 in the second quarter there. We get a good defensive play here by Elgin Collins. He makes a nice return. Probably dances a little bit more than he needed to dance. Had he just kept running, he probably would have scored. But he does a little bit of dance and allows Central Lafourche to catch up with him. But what it does is it allows Austin to connect with Jamel Bird, who's having a fantastic year for us. Gives us just a big pass threat, and it puts us up 28-6 with a little bit to go in the first half. We get the ball down here on a 26-yard line, and we actually don't score on that drive either. But we make a nice play to Michael Gray, and again, we're dancing a little bit too much, but we try to let our athletes perform to the best of their abilities. But I think sometimes if we just run north-south, we probably get in the end zone. But we're up 28-6 at halftime and had really played well for about 22 of those 24 minutes.
Williams made a 9-yard run in the second quarter. It kept Hahnville in the lead for 14-6. Did this set the tone for your team?
Yeah, and we were pretty confident going into it, Katie. We've been very confident playing as of late. I just think whatever switch went on at halftime in week 4 has carried over for the rest of the year, and I hope we don't touch that switch. I hope it stays in the position it's in right now, because we're really playing good football in all 3 aspects of the game.
Knowing Central Lafourche had 3 consecutive losses before the game, did this challenge Hahnville to not take them lightly?
Yeah, and we talked about them coming in. They were 4-3 coming in, and they're playing for their playoff lives. So we're just kind of in that time of the year, Katie, where everybody is either playing for a position or playing to get in the 32-team bracket. So it's not, and I tell our guys, don't look at the records of these teams. We're playing HL Bourgeois this week. They're 3-5, but they have some weapons, and they're playing for their playoff lives. And the kind of in our district, if you can get the Destre and Hahnville Thibodaux trifecta out of the way, you have an opportunity every week to beat the next opponent. So we don't want to be the guy that somebody upsets. We want to stay in that top echelon of our district. And every team we play gives us their best shot. They're going to throw their A game at us. So we have to turn around and give them our best shot. So, Central Lafourche was a very good opponent. They have very good skilled kids. Their quarterback was exceptional. They have a lot of size. So they definitely pose some challenges for us.
Considering Hahnville dominated 28-6 by halftime, how do you compare the last few weeks to the way your team played in the beginning of the season?
We really kind of, we've kind of just found our niche, to tell you the truth. I mean, early in the year, the first couple of 3 weeks, we were playing in all that really bad weather on some really bad fields, and we weren't able to figure out what we were going to do offensively. It kind of gave us maybe a false impression of how good we thought we were defensively. And so now that the weather's gotten better, we're playing on better fields, most of them turf. I think our kids are kind of finding out that we're a fairly above average defensive football team, but we have times offensively where we can be a very explosive offensive football team. And I think that's why you see the scores you see in our games, where we'll race out to a big lead, and then we're not able to shut people out, so they'll tighten the margin maybe in the third quarter, and then it'll wake us up a little bit, and we'll race back out and score 2 or 3 more touchdowns. And I really just think that's kind of the composite of our team right now. We have to find a way, if we're going to make a long playoff run, we have to find a way to get better defensively. We have some breakdowns, especially in our secondary. Our secondary struggles a little bit, but I don't think it's a talent issue. I think the big thing in the secondary is the problem many people are having on the back end of their defenses in high school. High school offenses have become so much more complicated in the passing game, and quarterbacks have become so much more proficient in high school. And the athletes that are playing receiver now are bigger and faster than they've ever been. And so you don't have the old 3 yards in a cloud of dust type offense. You're having to take your athletes and play against another team's athletes in a lot of space. And if the quarterback is hot, and we've run into some hot quarterbacks, then you're going to have those high-scoring games. So, as long as Austin's the hottest guy on the field, I'm okay with that. And Austin's been playing really well.
Thanks, Coach. Let's take a look at the second half highlights.
We come out and we get a little drive. We don't finish the drive. We have to punt the ball. And Dalton Malonzo has been just doing a great job punting the football. And Hunter LeBlanc goes down there and makes a really nice job getting a ball down at the 1 yard line, which made the field long. We get the stop and cause a punt, and it gives us a short field. And then on one play, Anthony kind of does the rest. We get a little block in the back that, it's called back, but we're able to finish the drive with a touchdown. And Anthony gets us in there. And we were struggling a little bit to recover a bunch of the onside kicks that we were having come against us. But, every time that happened, it allowed us to get on the field and kind of get better defensively against some passing teams. Elijah Brent, senior linebacker, makes a nice interception midway through the fourth quarter. And, again, we get the ball to Anthony. And, he's not just fast. I mean, he's a powerful kid with a lot of balance. And he gets the touchdown. We're up now. I think it was like 42 to 12 at that point, or something like that. And you get to play a lot of different kids when that happens. And we were able to get out there and make a lot of nice plays defensively, and playing a lot of young guys. And we give up a score late with our twos, and we got our onsides hands team on the field. And ball gets kicked deep, and Michael Gray picks it up, and it's kind of one of those plays where you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Go, go, go. And then turns into a 99-yard touchdown return by Michael, and that was the 49th point to kind of seal the deal for us. And we get out again, allows us to play a lot of young guys. We got some sophomore and freshman football players on the field. And whenever you can play those young guys on a Friday night, it just gets you better and better for the future. And so, we're excited about where we're going. But again, we know this week we have a quality opponent. We're playing on a short week. We play on a Thursday night against HL. So we got our hands full this week. And like I said, we'll worry about Hahnville and just keep getting Hahnville better.
Coach, winning by a large margin, does this give you the opportunity to evaluate other players on the depth chart?
Oh, absolutely, and especially now where we're kind of at the end of our junior varsity ninth grade season. Our ninth grade team finished up 9-0. This is the second time in 2 years our ninth grade team has gone. Second time in 3 years our ninth grade team's gone undefeated. And our JV team likewise is going to play their last game today, and if they win, they'll go undefeated. And so when you get these big leads on a Friday night, you're able to kind of extend that JV season a little bit, so to speak, where those guys can get on the field where ordinarily they won't get on the field. So, another great thing about, being in the playoffs and hopefully having a deep playoff run is you get more and more practice time, more and more work for your young guys. It's almost like an extra couple of weeks of spring football. And if you get to go all the way to the state championship game, you're fortunate enough to do that. Those kids actually play a whole half a season more, 5 more weeks. So, we look forward to our young kids playing on Friday night. I think it helps us prepare our football program for what's down the line. But also, it creates interest within that athlete. He knows how fun it is to be on the field on Friday night, and hopefully that transfers into his academics, where he says, I need to study a little bit harder so I can have the grade point average to play football. And it makes them work a little harder in the weight room, because now they realize that a lot of that hard work is starting to pay off. So there's so many great side effects of playing a lot of guys on Friday night, and hopefully we get to do it again this Thursday night.
How would you grade all 3 phases of your team's performance: offense, defense, and special teams?
I think offensively right now, we're probably a pretty solid B offensive football team. We leave a lot of points on the board. We're not great at finishing drives just yet. And we're not a good field position offense, meaning we actually do better with a longer field than we do with a shorter field. We had a couple of drives Friday night start on the plus side of the field. In other words, on Central Lafourche's side of the field. 2 of them were in the red zone, and we didn't finish it. But, when you score, 49 points, 42 offensively, It's hard to give them a bad grade. Defensively, I think, we're probably a C minus defensive football team. We're not great with the sudden change game. We're not great coming out of the locker room defensively. And, we're giving up a little more points than I'm used to giving up. But, again, our effort's there. Our kids are playing with great effort. And I just think it may just be the way football's going, in this day and age where people score a lot of points because of the passing game becoming so much more defined and worked on. And then our kicking game, I'd give our kicking game an A. I think our kicking game has been exceptionally good for us this year.
After playing 8 games, are you surprised by any players' overall performances?
I would like to say yes, but I think when you have them during the course of the year, as much as we have them, you can see kids developing. So when you look at Austin come out and after he shook some of that rust off that he had from not playing last year and the weather we played in the beginning of this year, I think this is the way people expected him to play. Jamel Byrd, many people are saying how big of a surprise he's been, but if you were around him as much as we're around him and see how hard he works and how great of a summer he had, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I knew he was going to be very productive, and Devontae and Anthony have always been really good football players. Our offensive line has really come around. Michael Kindler stepped in about week 3 and really solidified our offensive line. He gives us another big physical interior lineman and has had a great year for us. And I think when you flip the coin over to the defensive side of the ball, a guy that's been a pleasant surprise for us is Cameron Cabral. He's a guy who's a program guy. He's worked himself into being a really good player. He did 2 years of JV service, didn't get a lot of varsity time even as a junior. And now this year, his senior year, both he and William Brown have been exceptionally good football players for us. So, those guys have been kind of surprising. And then I think when you look at our special teams, there's guys that people don't notice who have been really excellent players for us, like Elaine McCulley, who's one of our best cover guys on our kick coverage teams, and Dalton Melosso with his punting. We lost our punter last year. Aaron Bourgeois graduated, and Dalton has stepped in and has been exceptionally good punting the football for us. So, those are guys I think that would be surprises, I guess, if you're just a fan that comes to the game. But if you're with them every day like we are, you knew these kind of performances were going to come about.
Thanks, Coach. Coming up next, we'll get Coach to look ahead at this week's game against the HL Bourgeois Braves. We'll be right back.
It's the beginning of the new year and time to start with those resolutions. What better way to start than with the Get Fit United Way program? In this program, participants go through 12 weeks of training and eating healthier. But what really goes on during that time? On the first day, participants meet with their trainers and receive their 24-hour access keys for Anytime Fitness. From there, they go through a 1-hour health class, 2 days of boot camp, and a day of group gym training during the 12 weeks. After the end of the 12 weeks, everyone who participated receives discounted Anytime Fitness memberships to continue their training.
Welcome back to On the Prowl. I'm your host, Katie Funk. The Tigers are on their 3rd consecutive win. Do you think that the Braves will prove to be a challenge?
They're going to be good. I mean, we're playing down there. There's a lot of challenges in going down there this week. It's a Thursday night game, which is a short week for us. It's on grass. We haven't been on grass now in a while. So we're going to have to play on grass again. It's going to be in an environment that we're playing again against a team that is playing for its playoff life. I mean, their playoffs started 2 weeks ago, so we're a playoff opponent. They're probably preparing for us like we're a playoff opponent. From a schematic standpoint, HL does a lot of different things offensively. They'll run some veer football at you, option football. They'll run some inside and outside zone. They'll run a little bit of power game. Their quarterback, number 8, is a very good athlete, so we'll get some power flow, which is a read off jet sweep, and he'll try to run it up in there behind a trap block. So there are a lot of things schematically that we're going to see against them that could give us problems, especially only having a couple of days to work on it. And then I just think getting on a bus on a Thursday afternoon, it really kind of throws off your entire afternoon. We're used to coming in the cafeteria on a Friday for our team meal, and there's nobody at school. Well, Thursdays, there's traditionally a lot of people at Hahnville in the afternoon. And so we'll have to kind of negotiate around the students that are still there, but while still trying to keep our mindset on the football game. And then, just making the trip, the hour trip down to Homa, and getting off and kind of getting in a routine where your body's telling you should be in a practice mode. And Thursdays are traditionally a short practice day for us, where now all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock at night and you have a 2.5-hour football game to play. So all those things have to kind of be worked out, but I think we're up to the task, and I think our kids are going to play very well. Now, on the flip side of that coin, if we can get the win, we actually get an extra day of rest going into Week 10 against Thibodeau, which is going to be a huge game for us for obvious reasons. Our seeding in the state playoff could vastly improve with a win the following week. So, we just have to do the right that we did. We had a good day of practice yesterday. The weather helped us a little bit. It's kind of cool. Hopefully it's cool again today. And then we have another good day of practice. And today was traditionally a Tuesday, but for us it's a Wednesday. And Wednesday, we call it hay day because when we finish, the hay's in the barn. We are what we are. So hopefully we have another good practice day today. And when we put the hay in the barn, it's good hay.
So what preparations will you take to beat them next week?
A big thing we're doing right now is focusing on aligning to the multiple formations we're going to get from them offensively. Defensively, they don't give you a lot of different looks, but offensively, they give you a ton of different looks with a tight end, without a tight end, 3 receivers, 3x1 looks, 2x2 looks, tight bunches, 2 back running back looks, no back running back looks, unbalanced. We'll see a lot of unbalanced where they put a lot of guys on one side of the football. Just our adjustment periods are longer this week defensively just because there's so many formations for us to look at.
Tell us about your booster club, Coach.
Again, we're kind of wrapping that up a little bit. Our elections are coming up in 2 weeks. And so, we meet every Monday night. We had a nice meeting last night, had a nice crowd last night. And, it was our last night of player introductions. So the next couple of weeks, I'll just hear coaches talk, which is always kind of fun, and answer those questions. So, we're excited about where we are. We hopefully we can get a win for the Hahnville family again this week, and then get on a bus, come home, and it's hard to believe, but next week will be the 10th week of the season, the last week of the regular season. So, football's flying by.
Thanks for joining us this week, Coach.
Thank you.
And that will do it for this week's edition of Hahnville on the Prowl. For updates and news on Press Play Productions, check out our website at presstoplay.tv. I'm your host, Katie Funk. Thanks for watching.